Emotional eating can feel like a completely never-ending cycle, one that is impossible to break no matter what you try. So if that's how you're feeling, know that you're so not alone. And the reason why we get so stuck is because emotional eating has nothing to do with willpower and determination and everything to do with our nervous system and feeling safe. So in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how I overcame lifelong emotional eating and binge eating struggles by finally learning how to take care of my nervous system. And as an amazing bonus, I've created a free nervous system toolkit for you, so you can grab that through the link below, and that is going to teach you the ins and outs of our nervous system and so many amazing tools to support you along the way. Now let's get into the video. For years, I felt trapped in this cycle of emotional and binge eating. I almost felt like I would black out every single day when I would have these emotional eating episodes. It didn't matter what kind of diet I tried, what kind of nutrition plan I tried, what kind of therapist I went to, what kind of coach I went to, how I changed my exercise programs. I still felt stuck in this repetitive cycle like clockwork every day of emotional eating and really unconsciously eating my feelings. And it was so awful. I remember crying myself to sleep every night. I would have to call a friend or my parents and just talk to someone on the phone, because not only was it terrible to experience that process of emotional eating where you basically just black out and eat whatever's in the kitchen, can't even tell you half the things that I would concoct from what I had in my kitchen. Cupboards would all be open, there would be mess everywhere, I had food splattered all over my face. Not only was that horrible, but I also felt so much guilt and shame afterwards. I felt this immense pressure to go and work off the calories that I'd eaten, which obviously only exacerbated the cycle over and over and over again. So I felt so trapped, and I had invested in, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of dollars worth of programs and different practitioners. And I was left with this overwhelming feeling of like, I'm never gonna get over this. I've struggled with this my whole life. Why would I possibly break free now? Nothing is ever going to work for me. My turning point was when I stopped obsessing over fixing everything externally. So fixing what I was eating, fixing my exercise program, fixing my weight, fixing all of these things outside of myself. I started turning the mirror to face inward, and I started really investigating what's actually going on in here. So I started, really simply put, by doing some pretty general journaling every single day, where I asked myself, how was my day? What did I notice? What feelings were coming up? And through repetition of tracking that week over week, I was able to see a pretty consistent theme that I hadn't actually noticed before, which was a lot of feelings of loneliness, a lot of feelings of insecurity about my body, a lot of feelings of being insecure in relationships. And I could kind of spot this trend that all of that emotional pain and energy was then going into food like clockwork. So I could kind of see, here is the reason why I'm finding myself eating every night. There seemed to be a connection. So if you haven't even done that exercise yet of getting some basic information about why you might be engaging in emotional eating, what are the patterns that you notice, being a little detective, I think that would be hugely valuable for you, because many of us are quite unconscious to why we emotionally eat, and we're so focused on, I just need to stop, that we don't actually do the work of getting to the real root cause. So that was the beginning of my turning point. The second thing that I did, which really enlightened my healing path, was I started to understand the connection between our nervous system and patterns like binge and emotional eating. So when our nervous system is stuck in a stressed state, in a fight, flight, or freeze response, our nervous system is stuck in a survival threat-based mechanism. When that happens, and I'll show you here on the graph, these two different zones that we get stuck in. So when you're stuck in a state of anxiety, of stress, of worry, of panic, or maybe you feel really hopeless or dissociated or numb, your nervous system feels unsafe. And so it searches for solutions to not feel unsafe, because that's a very uncomfortable, scary feeling to live in, especially consistently. So food happens to be something that we often learn at a young age can help to soothe or numb out uncomfortable feelings. So many of us are actually emotionally eating because we're trying to cover up, numb, and deal with uncomfortable feelings that we don't feel strong enough to hold on our own. We feel afraid of what's going to happen if I actually start addressing these feelings of loneliness or unworthiness or, whatever is coming up. I'm not going to be able to handle that. So food becomes a strategy of literally stuffing things down. So that really helped to alleviate some shame for me, because I recognized, oh my gosh, yeah, my nervous system is consistently in this state of anxiety, which was most common for me, and then also stuck in the freeze response. And I recognize I don't actually have any other tools to support myself to feel regulated and to feel safe. So of course, it makes sense that my body is using emotional eating as a tool. And I hope that that's starting to bring up some thoughts for you, some inspiration. And maybe you just even want to tell yourself, in this moment, emotional eating is just a strategy to manage my nervous system feeling unsafe, because that is the truth. That's all it is. You're not a terrible person. You're not a failure. You've done nothing wrong. Your nervous system has just learned this tool of emotional eating to feel safe. And the good news is that we can learn other tools to feel more safe. So what did I do specifically to heal my nervous system and increase safety within myself that led to me no longer engaging in emotional eating? Which I might add, I have not done for over 7 years now, since I learned these techniques after struggling with it for literally my entire life until I turned 30 years old, which is pretty cool. So one of the major things that I did to support my nervous system was understanding that this part of me, I had a part of me that engaged in this emotional eating pattern. For the longest time, I just thought it was my identity. I thought there was something deeply wrong with me, and you can see the level of shame and guilt and blame that's associated with that. So with the help of a practitioner, and this is the work that I do now, I really just sat down with this little binge eating, emotional eating part of me, and I just asked it some questions. I wanted to understand what this part of me was struggling with, what led to it wanting to emotionally eat, what I could do to support this part of me. Because when you can understand that it's a part of you and not all of you, you get to caretake that part of you, and you get to develop a loving, peaceful relationship with that part of you, and you finally get to stop fighting against yourself, which is why we get so stuck in this. So even right now, as a starting point, you can start just using the language, and maybe even want to grab an object. It could be anything. I happen to have a little lip gloss here. It could be literally anything. Just start to practice understanding, okay, I have a part of me that engages in emotional eating. This is a part of me. It's not all of me, it's a part of me. I'm open to learning more about this part of me. That was one of the biggest turning points in helping to create more safety within my nervous system, because I moved out of this fighting, fight, flight, anxiety response into a much more compassionate, safe energy. One of, more harmony and collaboration and compassion with this part of me. And that does support regulating our nervous system. So, number 1, understood that it was a part of me, not all of me. Number 2, I started to learn very specific tools to increase safety within my nervous system. So tools that could help me with those really uncomfortable feelings that I was feeling, the feelings of loneliness, the feelings of low self-esteem. And EFT, otherwise known as tapping, was pretty much the most life-changing tool I ever came across for many reasons. So on a very basic level, you can learn these tapping points that I'm teaching you right now, and you can use this as a tool in your toolbox every day by tapping continuously through these points for 5 minutes a day. What that's going to do is it's going to teach your nervous system, hey, I have another tool other than emotional eating. And so when I feel stressed, I might be able to practice coming to use this tool instead of going straight to food. And over time, with consistency, your brain is going to learn this new habit that we have other tools. We don't have to rely on food. This feels really good. This helps to take down the intensity of our stress and feelings of loneliness or whatever else may be coming up for you. And the wonderful thing about this tool is that you don't have to use it when you have an urge to emotionally eat. You can even just do it right in the morning when you wake up for a few minutes to just begin regulating your nervous system and building more capacity within your nervous system. So it's like we're filling up the glass so that if, we get stressed throughout the day, we still got a lot left in the tank instead of starting the day, with an empty tank. So I just taught you the tapping points, and you just want to tap a couple times per point. You can tap on the right side of your body or the left, and this is absolutely amazing. Okay, so if you leave with nothing else here in this video, remember that this part of you that engages in emotional eating is just a part of you. And 2, use the tapping tool and start using that, and you'll be in a really good place. The third thing I did was I continued to journal every day and have a healthy outlet for those emotions, of course, because that really further helped to bring more safety and regulation to my nervous system. Because when we're stuck in here with all of our painful emotions and we don't have safe outlets and tools, like I mentioned earlier, that's going to increase the stress in our nervous system, and then that's going to increase the urge and the patterns of emotional eating. So those 3 things were absolutely life-changing for me and really supported starting to regulate my nervous system and build safety, and completely changed my life, to be honest. And the last thing I'll say is that a lot of times we require deeper support in working with a practitioner. So I learned to stop trying to do this on my own and to actually work with someone and gain the right support. So you may want to consider that, actually working with a practitioner who has a proven framework, can teach you all these tools where you're not trying to navigate this on your own, because being alone in this journey can feel like the most difficult thing sometimes. And that's why the work that I do with my clients is in a bigger community where we are all supported and we're all holding our hands together and knowing that we're not alone on this journey. So I hope those tools were helpful. Please let me know in the comments what you're taking away from this video. Remember that you absolutely can heal this, and you absolutely will. If I could heal this after being stuck for, almost 30 straight years of my life, you can absolutely break free. And there's the free nervous system toolkit that you can download as well to support you with more tools than I shared today to regulate your nervous system and start healing your relationship with food. So I'm so excited for you. I know that this is going to be really amazing. And yeah, let me tell you, my whole life transformed from doing this work, and I totally got my life back, and I thought I would be trapped in this cycle of misery forever, and I'm free. And this is what I do, is I teach women all around the world how to have a loving, peaceful relationship with their body, free of emotional eating, free of binge eating, peace with food, and really the confidence to go after everything they've always dreamed of. So that is possible for you as well. Sending you a big hug, and I'll see you again next week.